All right, let's dive in. Today we're looking at computerized maintenance management systems,
CMMS.
CMMS, you
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
And we are going to be talking all about XLM's continuous CMMS.
CMMS.
CCMMS. Yeah, so much easier to say.
Sure.
I feel like that's a mouthful, CCMMS. But we're going to be looking at their newsletter.
Right.
And this is really interesting stuff, especially in today's world where, everything's got to be running all the time.
Yeah, minimizing downtime is critical.
Yeah, totally. And it seems like CCMS is all about, getting ahead of those problems.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really targeted towards companies that have to deal with GxP compliance.
Okay, so can you unpack that a little bit for our listeners who might not be familiar with GxP?
Sure. So GxP is this, set of regulations for industries where quality and safety are really, really important.
Like what kind of industries are we talking about here?
So pharmaceuticals, medical devices, anything where, if something goes wrong, it could have really serious consequences.
Make sense? Yeah.
So making sure that all your equipment is properly maintained and documented is absolutely critical.
So that's where CCMMS comes in.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's break it down. Like, what is CCMMS?
Well, it's not just about, waiting for something to break and then fixing it.
Right, the old reactive approach.
Right. It's about being proactive, using data, using automation to make sure that everything is running smoothly.
So it's like preventing those problems from happening in the first place.
Exactly. And that's where all the features of cCMMS really come into play.
Okay, so let's dive into some of those features. What really jumped out at me in the newsletter was the simplified maintenance requests.
Yeah. No more like lost sticky notes or trying to track down the right person to fix something.
Right, it's all in one place.
It's all streamlined. You can submit a request, track its progress, make sure that everything gets resolved efficiently.
Okay, so that's for kind of like the day-to-day maintenance stuff. But what about those like big potential problems that could really shut things down?
That's where the predictive maintenance feature comes in.
Okay. Yeah, I was super intrigued by this one. How does that actually work?
So basically, it uses data from sensors and meters on your equipment to try to predict when something might fail.
So it's like an early warning system.
Yeah, exactly. Let's say you have like a critical piece of machinery on your production line.
Right.
cCMMS can analyze data from that machine, like the temperature, vibration, operating hours, and it can detect patterns that might indicate a problem is developing.
So you're getting ahead of the curve.
Exactly. You can address the issue before it causes a major breakdown, which can save you a ton of time and money.
So predictive maintenance is all about preventing those catastrophic failures.
Right.
But what about those like day-to-day tasks?
Mm.
How does CCMMS help with that?
Well, think about how work orders are typically managed.
That's a mess.
Right. Lots of phone calls, emails, paper trails. It can be really chaotic. But with cCMMS, everything is centralized.
Okay.
You can assign tasks, track their progress, make sure that everything is getting done on time.
So it's like a super organized to-do list.
Yeah. You got it. And that level of organization can make a huge difference.
And I saw that they also have this streamlined procurement feature,
Yes.
which seems really helpful for companies that, struggle with managing parts and costs.
Absolutely. If a technician needs a specific part, they can easily check the inventory within cCMMS and even generate a purchase order right there.
Wow. So it's all connected.
It is. It all ties back to this holistic approach that cCMMS takes to maintenance.
I see. So it's not just about fixing things when they break. It's about managing the entire process.
Exactly. And that's especially important for companies that need to meet those GxP compliance standards we were talking about earlier.
Right, because documentation and traceability are super important in those industries.
Absolutely. Every maintenance activity is tracked, every part is accounted for, and everything is documented in a way that can be easily audited.
So it's not just about efficiency, it's about ensuring quality and safety.
Precisely.
Okay. One more thing that really caught my eye in the newsletter was that CCMMS is powered by MaintainX. Have you ever heard of MaintainX?
I haven't really looked into it too deeply, but it sounds like it might be the underlying platform.
The foundation.
Yeah, and that cCMMS is like a specialized version built on top of it.
So maybe MaintainX is more general, and XLM has customized it for those GxP-compliant environments.
That's a great point. It seems like a lot of software companies are moving towards these kind of modular, customizable solutions.
Yeah, where you can kind of pick and choose the features that you need.
Exactly.
So even though the newsletter focused heavily on GxP compliance, it sounds like a system like this could be beneficial for a lot of different companies.
Definitely. Any company that relies on equipment could potentially benefit from the core features of cCMMS.
I mean, think about manufacturing, hospitality, even schools and universities.
Right. Anywhere where equipment downtime can cause disruptions and cost money.
So it's really about finding the right tools to optimize your maintenance operations.
And making sure that your equipment is running smoothly and reliably.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about what cCMMS is, some of its key features, and how it can benefit companies in a variety of industries.
It's a powerful system with a lot to offer.
Yeah, but implementing something like this isn't always easy. There are going to be some challenges along the way.
Definitely. But I think the potential benefits far outweigh the risks.
So in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to take a closer look at some of those challenges and how companies can overcome them.
Sounds good. I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
It's amazing to think about how much time and money companies could save
Oh, yeah.
if they could predict equipment failures before they even happen.
It's like having a crystal ball for your machines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And not only that, but cCMMS can also help extend the lifespan of equipment
Oh, how so?
by making sure that it's properly maintained, catching those small problems before they become big, expensive ones.
It's like taking your car in for regular oil changes.
Exactly. And speaking of cars, one thing that struck me about the newsletter is that cCMMS can be used to manage all kinds of assets.
Oh, really? So it's not just for big factories?
Not at all. They mentioned HVAC systems, lab instruments, even vehicles as examples.
Oh, so it's pretty versatile.
Very much so. Designed to adapt to all sorts of needs.
So businesses of all sizes could benefit from this.
Yeah, I think so. And, another thing that stood out to me was the focus on collaboration.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too. They talked about role-based access and vendor management.
Right. So it's not just about individual technicians working in isolation.
It's about connecting everyone involved in the process.
Exactly. So with role-based access, you can control who sees what information.
Makes sense.
And the vendor management features help streamline communication with outside contractors.
That's huge, especially if you rely on a lot of vendors for repairs and stuff.
Absolutely. And then there's the audit trail feature.
Okay, what's that all about?
It basically keeps a record of every action taken within the system.
Oh, so you can see who did what and when.
Exactly. So if there's ever a question or a problem, you have that documentation.
That's super important for those companies that need to prove they're following all the regulations.
It is. But, even for companies that aren't subject to those strict guidelines,
Right.
having a comprehensive audit trail can be really helpful.
For transparency and accountability.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the benefits of cCMMS.
Yeah.
But let's be real. Implementing a system like this isn't always easy.
Definitely not. There are going to be some challenges.
Like what?
Well, one of the biggest ones is resistance to change.
Oh, yeah. People don't always like new things.
It's understandable. People get used to doing things a certain way, and they might be hesitant to learn a new system.
I can see that.
And then there's the whole data migration issue.
Right. What happens if you're switching from an old system?
Getting all that data into cCMMS can be a real headache.
If it's not done right, it can be a nightmare.
It can.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the training aspect.
Yeah, you got to make sure everyone knows how to use the system.
Exactly. And it's not just a one-time thing. Ongoing training is going to be important as the system evolves.
So even though there might be some bumps along the way,
Right.
it sounds like the benefits of cCMMS are worth it.
I think so. It's an investment not just in software, but in your people and your processes.
It's about committing to a more efficient, data-driven approach to maintenance.
Precisely.
I keep thinking about that Maintain X thing.
Me too. I'm
Yeah.
really curious about the underlying platform.
Yeah, the newsletter didn't give us a lot to go on.
Not really.
Yeah,
But it's fun to speculate.
right. Like maybe Maintain X is this really adaptable system that can be used for all sorts of things.
Maybe it's like a foundation you can build on.
And then cCMMS is like a specialized version of it.
Exactly.
It's really interesting to think about the possibilities
It is. And it just shows how quickly things are changing in the world of technology.
and how important it is to stay informed about those changes.
Absolutely.
Speaking of the future,
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to that predictive maintenance thing for a minute.
Oh, yeah. That's a game changer for sure.
I mean, if we can predict failures accurately, do we even need as many maintenance technicians?
That's a big question. I don't think those jobs are going to disappear completely,
Right.
but I do think the role of the maintenance technician is going to evolve.
They'll need new skills.
Exactly. They'll need to be comfortable working with data, understanding AI algorithms, using more sophisticated tools.
So it's not about eliminating jobs. It's about shifting the focus.
From reactive to proactive.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And that's pretty exciting when you think about it. We're talking about using cutting-edge technology to make our workplaces safer, more efficient, more productive.
Absolutely.
Well said. Before we wrap up, I wanted to mention something else from the newsletter.
Okay, what's that?
They highlighted some additional resources like audio podcasts and an AI news section.
Oh, yeah, those are great resources for anyone who wants to learn more.
It's all about staying curious, right?
Definitely.
And keeping up with all the latest developments.
Exactly.
What's interesting to me is it seems like cCMMS is less about the software itself and more about the advantage it gives you.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a strategic tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Especially in today's world, where technology is everything.
It's really fascinating to see how it can transform the way companies approach maintenance.
Like moving from reactive to proactive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Preventing problems before they even happen.
Okay, so as we're wrapping up our deep dive here,
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on a couple more things from the newsletter that really stood out.
Okay. What did you have in mind?
Well, first, the customizable reporting feature.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It sounds like a data nerd's dream come true.
It does. It's all about having that data at your fingertips.
So you can make informed decisions.
Exactly. Instead of just relying on gut feeling.
Right. It's about using data to drive your maintenance strategy.
Absolutely. And being able to track those KPIs.
Yeah. Seeing what's working, what's not.
And identifying areas for improvement.
Okay. And the other thing that I wanted to mention was the emphasis on training and support.
Oh, yeah. They talked about that a lot in the newsletter.
It seems like XLM really understands that implementing a system like this,
Right.
it's not just about buying the software.
It's about the whole package.
Yeah. You got to train your employees,
Yeah.
adapt your processes, make sure everyone's on board.
It's a commitment.
Okay. So before we sign off,
Yeah.
I wanted to circle back to something we talked about earlier.
Okay. What's that?
The idea that cCMMS could be valuable for companies beyond those GxP-regulated industries.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's an important point.
I mean, the newsletter focused a lot on pharmaceuticals and medical devices.
Because those are the industries where it's most critical.
Right, but the core benefits of cCMMS,
Yeah.
like predictive maintenance, streamlined work orders, inventory tracking.
Those are applicable to all kinds of businesses.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, I'm not in a highly regulated industry, this doesn't apply to me.
Don't count yourself out.
Think again. I mean, any organization that relies on equipment could benefit from this.
Whether it's a restaurant, a hotel, a school,
It's about optimizing your operations.
and making sure that your equipment is always running smoothly.
And that's something that everyone can get behind.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into cCMMS,
Yeah.
I think the main takeaway is that
What is it?
it's not just a tool for highly regulated industries. It's a tool for any company that wants to take a more proactive and data-driven approach to maintenance.
Well said. It's about embracing technology to improve efficiency and ultimately achieve greater success.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to say goodbye.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.